Alexa, pause. Hey there, it's 9 o'clock on Wednesday, October 20th, and I'm Joycelyn Wells, live on Joy Exposed. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I've been looking forward to this all day. All right, so we always start with 3 cheers of joy, 3 moments of self-celebration that have nothing to do with anyone else but you, and today will be no different. We shall begin. 3 Cheers of Joy, brought to you by Queen's Ransom. I got my bottle handy. Tonight I'm trying the Forbidden Fruit. This will be the 3rd of the trio that I have received that I'm going to try. And so we're going to see how this goes, Forbidden Fruit. That sounds delicious, doesn't it? Let's see. You can see them on the counter behind me. Oops, I dropped that. Ooh. My favorite sound, a cork popping out. You know how much I love that. There we go. Okay. Pouring it up. We're going to give it a nice taste. So Queen's Ransom is sponsoring 3 Cheers of Joy. And we always start with something yummy to toast to. Our 3 cheery moments. So tonight it's Forbidden Fruit. Cheers. Let me taste it before I start toasting. Oh, that's good. These are every one of them. Home run, everyone. They're all so good. This is sweet, citrusy. So, I mean, it is forbidden fruit. So there's some citrus. But it's good. Yum. So let's see. My first cheer of joy, my first moment of self-celebration, my first moment that has nothing to do with anyone else's. Oh, I won't say that again. That was last week. Well, I was celebrating the watermelon from Publix because it was so sweet. But that's still ranking up there for one of my cheers of joy. But my first cheer of joy for this week is patience. For the past, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, I've been in a real kind of blah mood, kind of low energy. And I've learned to not give in to the blah because I know that it's going to end. Like, so I don't stress over it, where a few years ago I would have been stressing over it, trying to drink Red Bull, trying to come out of it, all of that. And now I've learned to just go with it and not stress about it. And I didn't. And so I kind of attributed my blah kind of lost place to Mercury being in retrograde. I always have some wanky things go on with my body and my mind during Mercury retrograde. And then on the 18th, which is the day that it ended, I woke up the 18th morning at like 4 o'clock and just started working. And it was almost like I had been released from this grip of something. So cheers to patience and recognizing to ride it out. My second cheer of joy is just finally being in a happy place. I'm 52 and I've kind of had everybody has, but I'm finally in a place that I'm at peace, right? So like I'm not worried about anything. The kids are grown up, so it's not this constant anxiety and pull of things bothering me. I don't have that anymore. So now I'm really just at peace. So between the patience and the peace, I'm in good stead, and I'm grateful for that. But that's my second cheer of joy, for finding peace, being happy. Hey, Clarissa. Thank you. Let's see. It is a beautiful place to be, and I feel good here. So I'm very excited about that. My third cheer of joy is finding myself as beautiful again. So, I don't know how many women or men go through this where you almost can't see yourself. And that's how it kind of been for a lot of the pandemic. It's like I've almost been invisible. And I can see myself, right? I can see myself again. I can look in the mirror and see beautiful Joycelyn and be happy with what I see. And I'm happy to have that again, because when you look at yourself and you can't see the lights and you can't see the beauty and you don't feel good about it, it really takes a toll on your mind because you're seeking it. And I did. I see that again. So my first cheer was to patience. My second was to peace and happiness. And the third was to beauty, being able to see the beauty in me again. So cheers to those. It's my 3 cheers of joy, brought to you by Queen's Ransom. And tonight I'm trying the forbidden fruit. If you order some cocktails from Queen Ransom, make sure you use Queen Joy as your coupon code so you can receive a discount. So you will receive a discount for Queen Joy, and they're all really good. And I mean, you think about it, you got a Black business, and she has established a cocktail line. Give it a bottle, just buy a bottle, give it a shot, and just try it out and see what you think. She's local, she's here in Atlanta, and she's trying, like all of us small business owners, to get her business off the ground and get that recognition. So Queen's Ransom is indeed the move. So please do that. All right, so moving on to social media posts of the week or Facebook posts of the week, and that's brought to you by stmspecialties.com. And of course, I've got my Steffi, it's my Joy Exposed Steffi, and they made this for me, so I drink out of it every chance I get. Keep it handy. So let's look at some social posts and things that I've shared this week, or that I saved this week, because this can be kind of crazy. So sometimes we need to laugh and we hold on to. So the first thing, I just posted this on my social media, is that I was in the house cleaning, right? So I'm cleaning up, I'm cleaning the bathrooms, got to clean the tub. I found I'm pretty crazy about my bathtub. Like, I need it to be clean, white, so if it's not, it makes me a little icky. I don't know. So I was cleaning the bathrooms, and I was listening to my radio, my Alexa, and it was playing Tucker radio, and I was jamming.
Shuffling songs by Tucker on Amazon Music.
Alexa, stop. Anyway, so I was listening to songs and I'm dancing through the house and I'm just jamming. And next thing you know, I was stepping in the name of love. An R. Kelly song was on, and I was like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to be dancing to R. Kelly. I'm like, oh my God. So I thought that was kind of funny, because they don't usually play the R. Kelly on there. And I know that R. Kelly discovered this artist named Tucker. He's somewhere from the Midwest, maybe. I'm not sure. But he does a lot of swing music. And so R. Kelly discovered him. So some of his songs kind of sound R. Kelly-ish, but they don't usually play the R. Kelly on there. But this time I was literally stepping and I was jamming through the house with my little sponge and my gloves. And I was like, shit, I forgot. So it's kind of funny. I just posted that on my Facebook saying I forgot. But I was jamming. It's a jamming song. So can't be all mad at the music. And let's see, what else did I see? What did I save? Oh, today someone posted Varisa, and I love Varisa. She listens to Joy Exposed all the time, and she's really great energy. She's one of my cigar smoking buddies, Sisters of the Leaf. She made a post this morning. She shared a post and said, sometimes you need your feelings hurt so you can wake the fuck up and focus on yourself. And I needed that today. I literally needed that today. And I'm going to talk more about that in a bit. But I needed that, that human response to things. So I was grateful to see that first thing this morning, because it kind of gave me permission to be in the space that I was in, but then also like, fuck it, I'm getting out of this space. So I really appreciated that. And I sent her a message and said, I like it. Thank you for that. So Then, and another one that I saved is a picture of, I think it was from the movies Players Club, where one of the dancers was in the room and she had her arms crossed, covering herself up. But of course, the caption is different. The caption says, "No, I didn't sign up for this. You said you have fire memes, and that's all I'm here to see. Why is your dingling out?" Like she had been going to see somebody, and she was like, "I was here for the memes. I wasn't here to see your dingling." So that was kind of funny. I enjoyed that a lot. I saved it, so I'm really laughed about that. Clarissa, what'd you say as a fan of R. Kelly music? It's been tough. Yeah, I wasn't never really a big fan of R. Kelly, so I wasn't. It was never. Let me say, it was never a thing for me. Just the swing music I like, but otherwise, it didn't matter to me. Let's see. So I'm gonna put a link in there that if you have a comment later in the show to what I'm talking about and you want to come on and talk about it, then I can bring you onto the show to talk about it too. So I'll put a link in the chat. It's going to show up on YouTube and Facebook, so you should be able to see it. And I'll give you an opportunity to come in and comment on what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, I mean, you know what, Clarissa, it's a lot, right? So, and I haven't really talked about R. Kelly and his shenanigans. That's all I can say. I haven't really talked about him, but from the things that I've heard and just the clips of like the R. Kelly documentary, it's really a lot going on. And the sad thing is, it's not just R. Kelly; it was the people around him that were co-signing and allowing it and covering up to happen. And I'm talking about the parents to the children, the bodyguards, the employees, all of them were doing this cover up, and all of it for the sake of money, right? Like that's crazy to me. So I can definitely understand that. I just was like, I don't. It's so many different layers to it, and bless his heart, he's a creative genius. Like so, he is creative genius, hands down. Nobody denies that. But he just was very simple, and he's a grown ass man locked in an adolescent space, and that's where he gained his pleasure. And that's really sad. And we have a lot of people who are in that space, and you know, every time somebody's talk cat makes a comment about somebody being old enough or not being old enough or what's too young, you already know they're already thinking in a fucked up space, right? Like shit, I'm 52, and I'm not. I wouldn't date anybody younger than probably 48, 49. I'm like, I'm not interested. I don't. It just doesn't matter because I'm always thinking about there's a gap in something, And I mean, and that doesn't say that the men my age are okay to date. It's just saying that I have to at least have some parameters over what it is I'm doing. Because once you start looking at the young ones, you already know you're in a space to manipulate. You're going to manipulate them. You're going to take advantage of them, male or female, whatever the argument is. But R. Kelly was, bless his heart, he was really stuck in an adolescent space, even from the point that they talked about he couldn't read, so, and he, didn't have a lot of control over things that happened around him, as far as his legal, the financial piece. But when you look at the kids and that's what you see, I feel like that's a reflection of who you see when you see yourself. So if I'm 52 and I'm looking at a 20, 21, 22-year old, that's me looking at a reflection of myself. And if that's the case, my mindset is fucked up. Like I'm stuck in a post-adolescent space. And I always have a problem with that. Like I literally have a problem with that. I remember when I was teaching years ago, I went out to dinner with this man, and we were talking, and he says, "How do you do it? How do you, teach?" And I was like, "Oh, it's teaching," and I'm, going through. And he was like, "But you're so attractive, and you're so beautiful. I know those boys be trying to get at you." And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Those are children and they're in my care. You think so? That made me look at him like this man is sick. If that's what you think, if that's your thought process on another adult, you're sick. And that was the last time I talked to him. But there are a lot of people in there that get stuck in a post adolescent space. Yeah, they get stuck in this space, and you're just like, You're sick, and you can't fix it. You know what I mean? You can't fix it. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, and you have to hope that nobody's damaged in the process. And we with R. Kelly, there, according to news reports and families, there are a lot of people damaged in the process, and there were a lot of people who knowingly went into it damaged in the process, and they have to deal with the demons that they're going to face, and the girls they led to slaughter. And that's not something I want to. That's not something I want to. Okay, Clay, that's fine. You can DM me. That's not something I want to take with me to the grave through my life. The I don't want to take that with me. So anyway, I didn't go into this to get stuck on R. Kelly or that kind of thing. It was just saying that I ended up dancing to one of his songs, but bless his heart, he's got a lot to bear, and he's going to have a long life ahead of him. He's going to have to process and replay all of these things, and the people connected to it will too. Because all of us know there are very few people, small percentage of the population, that can do some egregious stuff and forgive themselves and be over it. We process over and over. That's what we do as humans. And when you hurt somebody and you are the detriment of them, and you are traumatized by somebody else, whatever it is, we are a system of trauma. We have generations of trauma from all kinds of stuff, from verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. There's so much trauma. And if you have ever suffered any, you probably still process it. You're probably better with it now, but you still think about it. It's still a space that you exist when you have to deal with who you are, right? It's just there. And that'll go into a little bit more of my conversation in a few minutes. But let's see, let me find my other social media post. Oh, my daughter is graduating from college. So we're having a graduation dinner for her in December. I'm really proud of her. Joya, my oldest daughter, finally decided she was ready to get her degree, and she started on it. So she's getting her associate's degree, and then she's going on to Central State in Ohio to get her bachelor's degree. So that's a big celebration too. So let's see. Here's a post that I shared with one of our Facebook friends that always gets thrown in Facebook jail. I have a particular set of skills that always gets me thrown in Facebook jail. I think that's so funny that Facebook has a jail to kind of mirror society's jail, right? Thank you so much, Clarissa. I'll let her know that you said that. So Facebook has imposed a jail sanctions for people who get out of line for language, actions. And this particular person took a picture with her shirt off, and she had her breast covered. So you couldn't even see her nipples, but you could see like the meaty mammary breast. Like you could see the breast, but not the nipples. And it was a great picture. She sent it to me in Messenger because I asked, "Why are you in jail again?" And she sent me the picture. And I was like, "That's a freaking hot picture." She's like, "I know, some little titty bitch reported me." But it was funny. She got 30 days. So I sent her that meme. Let's see what else. One more thing. Talk about that another time. Oh, I discovered a Facebook post that talked about these sticky, super sticky insect traps, and I had to order some because I have a lot of plants, right? So like the plant behind me, I made these planters out of cigar boxes, so they weren't conditioned for planters. So what they do, the soil draws a mold, which isn't detrimental to the plant, but also gnats, right? So I found that I have gnats. I had gnats kind of hovering around my plants in the area. So on Facebook, somebody talked about they had a gnat problem and the gnats were disrespectful. And they had this product they purchased. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting it. So I ordered some and I stuck them in my planters, the ones that I use as the cigar boxes as planters. I stuck them in the planters and I caught like hella gnats. So that's definitely a bonus, right? So I got rid of my gnats, and because I don't want to get rid of my planters. Guys know I love cigars. I love plants. I have one there. I got one there, over there. I probably have 12 plants in here. I love plants. So my mom said I always had a green thumb, even as a little girl, and they're like my pets. So I walk around and talk to them and love on them. So anyway, I got that. And then let's see what else the last one I can get. Oh, and then, there was I'm not going to talk about that. That's just disrespectful. Oh, no, I read that last week. Okay, so I'm at the end of my Facebook post, my social media post of the week, brought to you by stmspecialties.com. And, I told you guys before, I love social media. I've made a great family on Facebook. That's where I do the majority of my stuff is on Facebook. I have a great family there. I've met people. I think it's probably been 8 or 9 years that I've been on Facebook, and I've met some really amazing people. So, Facebook is home. It's home for me. When I meet people, I talk to them. I love them. I watch their kids grow up. We meet, we have dinner, we have parties, we travel to see each other. It's important to me because I've always been such a loner, and then to exist in a space where I've meet people who understand me and I can chat with when it's convenient. You chat, you turn it off, you chat, you turn it off, and that works really well for me. So Facebook is definitely a home place for me. So let's see, before I get into tonight's discussion, was there anything else I wanted to talk about? I can't think of it, but you see my display of Queen's Ransom. The Tamacion's in the middle. That's the hard tea. And then Charday's Rosé and Forbidden Fruit. This is the mini Forbidden Fruit. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to pack these in my check bag when I go to Charleston. That's what I wanted to talk about. I'm going to pack those when I go put in my check bag when I go to Charleston on Friday. So I open the big one tonight. So speaking of Charleston, I'm excited about that. So I was nominated for several awards at the ACHI magazine. Okay, ACHI magazine. I was nominated for several awards, and the award ceremony is in Charleston on Friday. So I'm going to fly to Charleston on Friday, and I don't know anybody in Charleston, which is unfortunate because it's so expensive to stay in freaking Charleston. Like, holy crap. I was looking at hotels like downtown Charleston, like $400 a night, $600 a night. I was like, oh, y'all ain't got no hostel, hostel in Charleston I can stay at. But I did find a Hilton. Oh, no. Embassy Suites by the airport. So I'm going to stay at the Embassy Suites by the airport. And it's not so bad. So I'll stay there and I'll get an Uber into the city, and then I'll get an Uber back, and then I fly out the next day. So I received nominations for 3 awards: Author of the Year, Entrepreneur of the Year, and Woman of Influence. So 3 awards. Somebody nominated me. I have no idea who nominated me, and they haven't come forth yet. But I did receive 3 amazing nominations, and I'm very proud of it. And so I don't know that I'll win, and I don't know that it matters if I'll win. What I feel like I have to go because someone saw something in me and they made a nomination, and so I have to. Thank you very much, Ms. Housey House. Thank you very much, Clarissa. So I feel like I have to go because somebody saw something and they put that energy out there and they nominated me and it stuck, and so I received it. So as a person who is thriving and walking along her path, I have to just say, I at least have to move in that direction. I at least have to go. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to fly out Friday afternoon. I'm going to go to the award show, and then I'm going to fly back on Saturday morning. So no big deal. Like I'm not making anybody go with me, or I'm not dragging Faceless Love with me. I'm not, it's not anything like that. And not making my mom come up. It's not anything like that. It's just me going to acknowledge that I'm working really hard and somebody sees goodness in me, and they took some time to nominate me for this great award. And you go on the website, achimagazine.com, and you see the women who've won the awards before, and you see the award show and all of that. And it's just, for me, it's like I get to be in the house. I get to be there. So I'm going for that. And it'll be financially taxing, but It's okay because I put out, it'll come back. I put out, it'll come back. And that's just kind of my thought process on living. It's like I'm living free. I hold on to the idea of I'm living free. I don't want to be bogged down with worry or wonder or any of that. I'm living free. So when the inkling hits me, I do it and I just go with that and just keep working and it's coming along fine. So I'm gonna stick with that. So that's where I'm going on Friday, and I wanted to share that. So you guys send me some good energy, good winning energy, and good energy that if I do win, I can come up with a speech in a minute because I'm not going to write a speech. So anyway, that'll be fun. And so, yeah, and then Saturday there's a ladies' night that I'm attending. One of my friends who's she's a brand ambassador. She's so many things. She hosts these ladies' nights all over the United States, from Atlanta to Tampa to Houston to Oakland to New Orleans, New York. Like, so she hosts them all over. And I've been honored to be a guest at two of them in the past. This is the third one. So I'm going to be a guest at that on Saturday night. So that's going to get my weekend pretty much jam packed of stuff to do. And then Sunday I'll chill out. So anyway, I'm Joycelyn Wells, and this is Joy Exposed, and it's Wednesday, October 20th. And today you may have noticed I made a post saying that I think it said, I can't remember exactly what it said. Let me look, just so I can make sure I'm on point with what I'm saying, because I do need it to tie in together, because you guys know how important that is to me. So the post simply said, last week, I was reminded of my vulnerability to the whims of others. But on yesterday, the universe said, it's okay. You are, in fact, human. And so I say that because you guys who listen to me often, you know that I always talk about my human self. I have a struggle with my human self wanting to rule my brain when my spiritual self rules my heart and my soul. Right. So that's always a kind of conundrum. And I think as humans, we go through that. So we get caught in this human space. And so week before last, I found out a group of ladies that I love so much. I mean, I love them. I respect them. They're beautiful. We've hung out together. Gosh, that's it. I respect them and love them, right? And I consider them friends. And a group of ladies got together and they took a trip that last year I went on, but on this year I wasn't invited. My feelings were hurt. Like, I mean, and it's not about the trip, because you guys know I travel. You guys know I do stuff. So it's not about the trip. It's about the idea that a group of women that I love and respect so much and consider friends would put together an event, a trip, and keep it secret. Not that I found out about it in the process. I found out about it after, so there was a whole thing. I feel like there was a thing behind it. So that's where I've been processing. Like, and of course, the first thing is I asked myself, well, what did I do? I was just with them all, many of them. I was just with them. What did I do? And then I had to give myself some grace in that. Like, okay, if you're traveling along the path that God has established for you, which I say that I am, you guys know, hands down, I say I'm walking my path. I just talked about that when I was talking about receiving the award. If I'm walking my path that I'm walking because God has laid it for me and I believe that I'm on it, I can't stop and question my steps because of this human response to this situation. But I did, like, I literally did. And I was just like, oh my God, but I love her. And we this and this and this. And what about her? And so I was literally ticking them off one at a time, trying to think about my relationship with them and things that had or had not happened, or if I had offended or hadn't offended. So I was doing this internal thing of what did I do? But what I literally had to stop. And the only person I've really talked to about this to is Faceless Love. And unfortunately or fortunately, he is the person that gets to hear all of my stuff. So when I was telling him about it, And he was like, wait, what happened? And what? Because he was surprised because he was like, they're your girls. They're your girls, right? Like, you, wait a minute, y'all, he's talking to y'all did this and this and this, And I was like, I know, but there's this whole thing and I wasn't invited. And so he and I talked about it. And I said, but I'm not tripping on it. I said, I'm just going to think about it. I'll process it a little bit. I'll figure it out. And then I realized that my problem was I was excluded. I was not that it wasn't the trip. It was the exclusion from the opportunity. Now, whether I could or couldn't go is neither here nor there. It was just the exclusion from the opportunity in a space that I considered safe. So it probably took me several days to kind of process because I'm an internal processor. I talk about that all the time. Some shit happened to me. I think about everything. I go. I think about every single thing. I don't have an outward reaction like I'm mad or I'm calling somebody, and I don't have that. I'm more of a what happened? I'm more of that, right? So, and I've worked all week and, that happened not last weekend, the weekend before. So, but I found out about it with pictures, of course, pictures are posted on Facebook and it's talking about the trip they took and everybody was so beautiful. I told you they're beautiful. They're brilliant women. So I ain't knocking nobody, but I was looking at the pictures and I was thinking, well, last year it was that group of women and me. This year I was excluded. And I don't know if my feelings were hurt because I was excluded or because it was hushed conversation. So it's almost like if you know that something's happening and you're not invited, okay. But it's almost like, well, and I say that because we're all in a group together, right? So we interact daily together. But it's almost like it happened and it was a secret. And I'm like, well, what's the point of it being a secret if we're friends and we have this relationship of openness and sisterhood, that kind of thing? What's the secret? Like what's the subterfuge, the inception? What's the point of it? Like, what's the gain of that? Yeah, that's right. Both are hurtful, and behind the back feels very toxic. You're exactly right. It does, and it does feel toxic. And I had to kind of process through it and talk through it with myself. Like, okay, so first of all, I'm incapable of hurting people. It's not what I do. Like, it's generally not a part of my makeup. Like, I don't know how to not be fair. I don't know how to talk about people. I don't know how to throw shade. I don't like that kind of stuff. It's not a part of my genetic makeup. I'm Joycelyn. And I've always been Joycelyn. I'm more vocal because I recognize the hurt amassed by when people try to hurt you or intentionally do something. I recognize that. So now I'm more of a outspoken protective of myself, but I've always generally been open. So I had to kind of take a step back and look at each one of these women and think of what I see in them, the beauty, the brilliance, what I've shared with them, how I interact with them. So I had to look at them individually and remove my primary thought of the exclusion, or the exclusion was intentional, but the hurt wasn't intentional, right? So I can't sit up and suppose what the intention was, right? I only have to see them as the women that they are and protect myself in the process. And this is no different than any relationship that's negative, whether it's with a man or with a woman or whatever. It's just you saying, okay, how do I now protect myself in the presence of you? What did I do to allow myself to get in this space? Not what did I allow myself to do to you, but what did I allow for myself? And so I really went into an introspective space of Joycelyn, because the feeling wasn't brand new. It wasn't a new feeling. It was reminiscent of, say, something high school. Does that make sense? Like you got a group of friends in high school, they do something and they leave you out. So it was more, it reminded me of 1987, 88. Like it reminded me of years ago that I was like, oh, this is something such and such would have done. Or this reminds me when this happened. So it took me back to a adolescent space of, oh, oh shit, I'm 52. And I respect people. I respect adults and the decisions they make. So it really put me in a space, but it wasn't a recently familiar space. It was a past familiar space. And so I talked, like I said, I talked through it with Faceless Love, and then I talked through it with myself. And the first thing I had to give myself permission is to accept that the situation was fucked up. Like you got to give yourself permission that this is fucked up. You own your feelings are valid. How you're feeling is real. Give yourself permission. Don't cover it up. Don't lie about it. Tell yourself the truth about the situation. Not the situation on their behalf, the situation on your behalf. This situation feels fucked up. And I did, right? So that was good for me because I had to think, I'm the one traveling my path. I'm the one picking up trauma, drama, bullshit, happiness, greatness, successes, wins. All of this along my path is on me to receive it. Well, I don't have, my hands are full. Like I can't carry the trauma in my hands anymore because I've released the trauma. I've said no more trauma. I came out of a yucky ass relationship with my ex. I came out of yucky ass relationships with people I went to school with, college and high school. Like, so now it's like, why in the fuck do I have to deal with yucky right now? So I had to talk myself through what that was and to give myself permission to say, this is uncomfortable. I don't like this. And I don't know that's right, Ms. House, no excess baggage. Absolutely right. I don't know how I will proceed moving forward in these relationships. Now, I'm not mad at anybody, but there's a long handled spoon, right? Like there's something you use to protect yourself from people who their intention is or can be to misuse you or make ill use of you or to manipulate you or to hurt you. There's something, right? And so I don't know the depths of it. And I don't want to have a conversation with any of them about it because I respect an adult's decision. If you make a decision, if you choose, I respect that. But what also has to be respected is that I'm hands off, right? So of course I'm gonna draw a fence around me because I'm like, shit, you can't come play with me. I can't do this no more. I'm over it. So and being this age, you realize that only has to happen once. Because by the time it happens once, the conversation about it has happened 10, 20 times. And think of it like this: of the women, I of the all of the women who went, if they all agreed that I wouldn't be a part of it, if they all agreed on my exclusion, then I have to respect the fact that there's something about me that wasn't welcome in that space. Okay, that's fine. I'm not knocking that. I'm knocking the fact that the way that it happened. And I'm knocking the fact that I felt some kind of way about it, that I allowed myself to be emotionally vulnerable in a space that I thought was safe. And that's hard because we all know that when you get older, if you allow people in your space and you trust them in your space, when you realize that it's not what you thought it was, you go and question yourself about, damn, how did I misread that? How did I not know what I felt for this person wasn't what they felt for me? How did I not know? Like you start thinking about yourself, like, what the fuck is this? What happened? How did I misread all of these energies that we had something, a great sisterhood, and we didn't? So, so I'm just, processing that. I'm going through it. And like I said, for me, the first thing that I had to do is give myself permission to feel like this was a fucked up situation and not to discount it. I'm not discounting it. And I'm running a business. So I really don't have a place for it. Like I'm at this point, anybody coming into my lane, I feel like we're moving to a great place together. So I don't feel like now that I'm in a place that I'm picking up baggage. I feel like I'm collecting assets, like I'm meeting brilliant women and men who are moving to greatness. I don't feel like I'm collecting baggage. I don't want to collect baggage. I want to collect assets. So I'm just, it's a difficult place, and I love them. I love every one of them, and I've shared with all of them in conversation and business ideas and laughter, all of it. So I've shared goodness with all of them. So I don't have any one negative thing to say about anybody in the group because I haven't had negative experiences with them. This is the experience for me that says, oh, well, maybe you misread the group. Maybe you misinterpreted what sisterhood meant or means. Maybe you misinterpreted the honesty and the conversation. Maybe so that pulled back on me to say, well, hold on. I myself was there and I was vulnerable. And now I see it. It's kind of like, well, shit, my bad. So now I'm like, damn, if this isn't what sisterhood is, and this ain't what I'm like, shit, I don't know. Like, I literally don't know, right? So, but in that situation, not to discount the amazing women that I know, and I do know some amazing women, and those are not to be excluded. Maybe that's just where they were. But I do know some amazing women, and I still champion the women that I know, and the friendships that I have, I still hold them true to me that they're friendships, and I'm still going to be Joy. I'm still going to be Joycelyn. I'm going to be open and honest and candid. Hell, I have a podcast that I talk about all kinds of shit. I've talked about my dad. I've talked about my mom. I've talked about my kids. I've talked about my faceless love. I've talked about me last week begging for food at the corner store because I didn't have anything to eat. I've talked about all kinds of shit. So I don't keep anything hidden because I am a product and tool for the universe, right? So I just keep it moving on my own path. Shit, I've written books about very explicit things that have happened in my life, and I'm still writing, and I'm still open to opportunities of learning more and growing more. So it's just who I am. I'm not going to pretend to be, and I especially at the whim of a human, I'm not going to be. So one of the things that I thought about in having my conversation with Faceless Love is that, hell, okay, it's fine. It's fine. I was excluded. And the thought that came to mind is like, well, when the hyenas get together or the sheep get together to have a meeting, they never invite the lioness, right? So maybe I'm just not in a space that they want to share with me. And that's okay. I respect that. I have to understand that that's okay. And that's the place that I'm coming from is I'm going to get to where I'm okay with it. But my feelings were hurt. Like honestly, genuine human emotion, vulnerable, my feelings were hurt. And I've been trying so hard to be in control of those things that could hurt me or make me vulnerable that I forgot that I was in fact human, because I always think about myself operating in the spiritual space of being free. I always think about that. I always encourage freedom. I encourage people to move, and then the one time that I feel so free, I am in fact still vulnerable. So I have to make sure that I pay attention to that from now on. Yes, Clarissa, lioness. Transparency is right. That's right. I give it. I worked with you for years, and I'm just me. Like I'm just literally me, and there's no question about my intention. My intention is for good, and my intention is for someone who needs something, or somebody who wants something, or somebody who needs me. Whatever. If you come to me in need, then I'm there. And I think last week I talked about this. I have people come to me all the time with conversation, or they need somebody to talk to in the middle of the night, in the whatever, they're on probation and they need to do this, and they need to talk about this, and they need to talk about that, or they're this, they got like all of this. And if my first thought is to send money, I send money. And the key thing to that is I haven't been in a situation where my first thought was to send money and I didn't have it. That's how I know that's what I'm supposed to do, because I can do it. I have a young man who's on probation. He needed a place to do community service. Amazingly, he came to me after I established my foundation. I could give him community service. So it's those types of things. So if I'm traveling along my path and these opportunities are falling in my place, then I know I'm in the place that I'm supposed to be. I know that I'm in the place that I'm supposed to be. And I can't question that. And I definitely can't question it because my feelings are hurt. They're just my feelings. I'll be okay. I'm going to deal with my feelings being hurt. I'll deal with that. But I do have to think about the power of the people involved in the situation and how I see them. And I've allowed that to happen for my feelings to be hurt. So clearly, the way that I look at them is greater than the way they look at me. And I've learned that, right? You love the person you fall in love with, the person you know and you're in a relationship with, you make sure they love you more than you love them. I learned that already, but I'm just teasing about that. But it definitely wasn't an equal playing ground. It wasn't an even playing ground, and I have a tendency to elevate people from what I see and learn from them and what I imagine for them. I elevate them to this place of greatness that they may not even see for themselves. And because I can see them in this great space, I always end up in a space of vulnerability because I illuminate them in this light. And that's okay. That just says I see the goodness in people and I want people to be great. That's all of that is okay. And those are things I have to give myself permission for. Your grandmother always said that, Clarissa. I know one of my good girlfriends told me that years ago. She's like, oh my God, you have to fall in love with the man that loves you more than you love him. It's going to be great. I hear that's true. So I'm not knocking that. But yeah, so that's why I made the post and I said, like I was vulnerable to the whims of people, like whims of people. Like I'm human. And I want to be so in a spiritual space of power, and like the universe is guiding me. I want to be in that space. And I study to be in that space. But when I allowed myself in this human space, my feelings were hurt. And it's hard. That's funny because my daughter, I don't know that she's watching tonight. She's at the beach with some friends, but she always says that you act like you don't care or you don't have any emotion. And I'm like, but I do. And so this is a prime example of I do. I have emotions. So anyway, I just wanted to share that my feelings were hurt last week. And it's been a long time. It's been a long time since my feelings was hurt because I don't really allow myself in those vulnerable spaces. But that was one. And when you have surrounded yourself with people who are amazing, great women, and I do, Clarissa, Erica House, who's on live right now, who's listening and making comments. My sister-in-law, Varisa, who made that post today, she didn't know I needed it, but it was perfect for me, and I'm glad she shared it. She even apologize to her pastor about it. I'm just the messenger. So I do know amazing women. Danae, who is the brand ambassador I was talking about, who does so much goodness. I know so many amazing women, and I know so many amazing men. So I'm not discounting anybody's greatness because the good comes to me, and that's it. The good comes to me. So I am just I'm just having a moment with that, and it'll take me some time to process it, but it's okay. And the other thing is that I talked to my mom about it briefly today. So I did talk to her a little bit, and she was like, "Well, what about this one?" I'm like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Well, what about her?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "But you love them." I was like, "I know, Mom, I do." And she's like, "Oh no." She says, "Well, you got to call them on it." I was like, "But I'm not going to, Mom. They're adults and they made a decision. There's no reason for me to go to them and call on them about it. They know. I mean, they know. Like, I don't have to go there. They know, I know, we know, right?" So, I don't have to do that. But even my mom knows that she's met a couple of them, and she's talked to them, that to some of them on FaceTime and on Zoom, so she even has a personal liking to them because of me. But it's just what it is, and it's okay. But I'm human. I'm human, and I got caught in the emotional space, and I was vulnerable there, and I'm okay. I'm going to live through it. So I wanted to share this tonight because I know that many of my listeners out there on social media and on the airwaves and YouTube, and YouTube and iTunes and Google Play, everybody who listens to this, we all have a space that we exist in where we're like, well, that's fucked up. It's okay. And it's all right that it's fucked up. It's all right that it's fucked up. We're going to live, it's no big deal. The only thing that we have to do is to make sure that the goodness that we want is the goodness that we bring in. And sometimes the goodness, can be something else. It can metastasize. It can become cancerous, it can become something dangerous for us. And as long as it moves away from us, as long as it excludes us from the bullshit, then that's fine. I'm okay with that. So I have to recognize that it just wasn't a space for me, and everywhere isn't a space for me. When the door closes, I've been many places that I wasn't allowed to get in, and afterwards I hear, "Oh wow, it was good not to be there. It was good that you missed that. It was good you didn't go. It was good you left early." So I've been in several places like that, and this is just, I see this as one of them, and it's okay. I mean, and it's okay. But I did want to talk about it because you guys know I talk about you're my therapy out there. You're my therapy. I talk about this. I know that I'm okay. And we just keep winning. We keep growing and winning and doing the thing that's best for us, and living and loving and being happy, and you know, blazing trails that allow a million people to move forward. I've said before and I'll say again that I just truly believe that I'm here to move a million people to freedom. Like, I'm here to move them to freedom. And I feel like I was chosen for that. And I'll just keep going, whether it's through my publications or in print or on Facebook or on Radio Land or through other people, whatever it is. I feel like God has just said, hey, daughter, I need you. You're going to move a million people forward. And I just keep trudging through. And that's it. And so sometimes the load is heavy, but it's never heavy enough to go against what God has for you. And when it gets heavy, or when it becomes whatever, you got to allow it to release it. One of the things that we do is we tend to try to hold on to people, to situations, to bullshit, and we try to hold on to it when what we're supposed to do is let that shit go. Like, we're supposed to let it go and keep walking. When something is pulling away from you and you feel like something is no longer what it is or what you thought it was, or it's misshapen or it's changed, let that shit go. There's no reason. I held on to marriage that was crap for years. I held on to it for whatever my emotional reasons were. I held on to it. But when it came to the light of day and what it actually was, my emotions had nothing to do with it. The fact that I was able to let it go and walk away from it, I became a better person. So if I can let this go and walk away, I'll continue to become a better person. It doesn't change the fact that I believe in people. It doesn't change the fact that I love people. It doesn't change the fact that I'm going to try to move people to higher ground or try to move people to a different thought process or a way of living. It doesn't change any of that. It only says I'm not going to get lost in this moment and lose time and momentum when I need to keep moving forward. And that's what I'm going to do, keep moving forward. So it's almost 10 o'clock. And, I am so grateful for all of you for tuning in and watching live. It means so much to me because this requires a certain level of courage and conviction and understanding that this is a platform to use to speak on. And I'm here for it, right? So I'm here for it. And I think about it all day. Like, not even all day. I probably started thinking about it Sunday. What am I gonna talk about on Wednesday? But I know that this is a space that I come, that there's no judgment. There's no judgment in it. There's no backlash from it. The only thing that happens from Joy Exposed is that when Joy is exposed, everything feels better. When I come on here and talk about what I'm talking about, I go and I sleep like a baby. And then I get people who call me. I get a producer who calls me and he wants to do my show. And I have to get back with him because I haven't spoken with him in 2 weeks. And then I get the Danae who calls and she wants to connect me with someone for a sponsor. And she wants me to be online more because of the presence. Like, so I get all these good things that happen from me putting myself out here. Because I am out here, I'm completely vulnerable. And I haven't, because I don't condemn anybody. I don't talk about negative about anybody. I just come on here and talk about being free and what it means to expose your joy, what it means to celebrate yourself. 3 cheers of joy, what it means to expose your joy, how to find happiness, all of those things. That's what I talk about here. And so it's a good space. It's a solid space and I love it and I appreciate it. I just got a text message. I'm not even going to read it. Girl, stop it. So anyway, I just, that's what I'm doing here, and there's nothing but goodness. And if anybody ever has something to offer, an observation, an opportunity, reach out to me. I'm open. Like, you guys know, I respond on Facebook all the time to all kinds of bullshit. I'm open. And I would greatly appreciate it, because if we can't move forward together, then we're going to move forward without those who can't move forward. But I refuse to be held hostage, and I refuse to be held in a space because of how I feel about a situation, not because of somebody else, because how I feel. So anyway, it is 10 o'clock. It's Wednesday at 10 o'clock, October 20th. And it's Joycelyn Wells. Thank you guys for joining me. It's Joycelyn Wells with Joy Exposed. And remember, when joy is exposed, everything just feels better. Thank you, Queen's Ransom. Thank you, STM Specialties, for rocking out with me. You guys have an amazing night. I'll see you next week. Mwah. Bye.